Hi there, welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. Now, staying on the President's State of the Nation's address, he touted his government investment in sports infrastructure, emphasizing that that has led to making Ghana an international hub for sports events. Well, the President emphasized that his investment in facilities like the Boteman Sports Complex, the renovation of the University of Ghana Stadium, and many other facilities which were used for the African Games has gone a long way to improve the country's resources as far as sports is concerned. Well, he made this comment on the floor of Parliament while delivering the State of the Nation's address as part of things that have been done to help the youths in the country and at large sports.
Mr. Speaker, the youth are the heartbeat of our nation, and we have implemented programs to empower them. From the National Youth Authority reforms to sports infrastructure development, we've ensured that young Ghanaians have the tools and opportunities to thrive. The construction of some 150 AstroTurf pitches across the country and the rehabilitation of existing stadia have bolstered Ghana's standing as a hub for international sports, including hosting successfully, despite all odds, the 2023 All-Africa Games. Creating an entrepreneurial climate has been a cornerstone of my administration's vision for empowering Ghana's youth. From the establishment of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Programs, NEIP, in 2017, with a $10 million United States dollar seed fund, to the transformative Greenhouse Estate Project and Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center in 2020. We have supported 15,000 startups, trained 250,000 young entrepreneurs, and created over 100,000 jobs.
Well, on that very statement by the President on his government's investment in sports infrastructure, Joy Sports editor Tahiru Fentio joined me earlier to talk about sports and Akufo-Addo's 8-year tenure as president. Well, he's been speaking about the president's investment infrastructure, where he believes that lots of credit has to go to the president for particularly the Boteman Sports Complex, the completion of the University of Ghana Stadium, which has made available a world standard track for athletic events. Here is Joy Sports editor Tahiru Fentio crediting Akufo-Addo for his investment in sports.
The last 8 years, I think in terms of sports infrastructure, the Akufo-Addo administration has done creditably well, I have to be honest. The last of which being the African Games and the kind of infrastructure that it allowed the country to build. And even if we have not necessarily been able to put that into proper use yet post the competition, the idea is that going forward, that would become the center of multiple international competitions. I think if you look at the facility that we put up at Boteman Sports Complex, it's got the capability to host international tennis competitions. It's got the ability to host some boxing events here and there. It's got the ability to host international swimming competition. We've hosted one already. It's got the ability to turn the place into a university for sports development, which we have said that we are going to do. And if we are able to do that, we could build a sports excellence center in this country that could attract talent from all around the world, of people who would come and enroll at that university and make Ghana a true hub of sports on the continent. Beyond that, you also have to look at what we've done to the University of Ghana Stadium. The installation of that athletics track alone, that singular act alone, will bring multiple sporting competitions, especially athletic sporting competitions, to the country for sure. And already we will be hosting next year's the 2026 African Athletics Championship events. And we could go into trying to host continental tour events from World Athletics as well, simply because now we have a certified track at the University of Ghana Stadium, the only certified track that we have in this country. the only track that is capable of hosting international competitions. And with the added incentive or the seating that we have in that stadium, and as the African Games Athletics event showed, that we could turn that into a raucous atmosphere and host international athletic competitions that could rival any athletic competition in the world. So in terms of that particular statement that he made, there are many aspects of it that are true. And I wish that, for example, if they had finished the youth resource centers that they had also started, the construction of which started back in 2018, about 6 years ago. If we had finished those as well, then it could propel the development of the sport, and then we could leverage on the promotional aspect of it. So I think if you look at the infrastructure aspect of the Akufo-Addo administration with regard to sports, I think, like I said, they've done creditably well, and they have positioned the country to be able to leverage on the infrastructure that they've put together to position the country as a true hub of sports on the continent.
Well, he's also been speaking about what needs to be done to preserve these facilities to ensure that they're able to serve the needs of not at least the future generation and ensure that they're able to last long, as we have seen in time past, some of these facilities deteriorating due to the poor maintenance culture that has been practiced across the country.
My position and my view and hope is that whoever is put in charge of managing these facilities,
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Especially what the Akufo-Addo administration has put in place in Botema or the University of Ghana, will look to the Sydney Sports Emporium and look at the management style that they've put into that place and adapt some of those strategies and make it a viable option. Let's not run those facilities like we've run some of the other facilities that are under the management of the National Sports Authority. Otherwise, we will never reap the results and the intended, developmental capacities that we had in mind in putting those facilities together. So there is an example to look to. There is an exemplary leadership that has been shown elsewhere in managing a certain facility, or similarly positive sports infrastructure that the NSA or whoever, and I have the understanding that they're looking for private partnership to manage the facility. In the meantime, whoever is put in charge of managing that facility will run it in a way that will inure to the benefit of the entire country and not run it down like all the other facilities that the NDC has supervised over the years. So like I said, in terms of the infrastructure, the Akufo-Addo administration has done creditably well. And we have our own reservations about the astroturfs that they have put in place all around the country and the quality or the lack of it of those facilities. And those are conversations that we can have. But the intended purpose of those facilities itself, while some of it is being defeated because of the lack of quality, we've also seen that the astroturfs have brought a certain positive community engagement into the country, where now you have lots of people gathering at those places, even in terms of not just sports, but also serving as avenues where communities can come together for funerals and what have you. And while, like I said, those may not have been the original intended purposes of these facilities, if managed well, and some of them have been managed well, some of those venues have become very purposeful avenues for community engagement, and that in itself, and youth engagement, and that in itself is a positive development.
Nii Lante Vanderpuye has been tipped as one person who could be announced as the sports minister under the next John Mahama administration. Well, my colleague Muftar Nabila caught up with him earlier, and he's been talking about plans he has for the sports fraternity and the event President-elect John Dramani Mahama unveils him as the next sports minister. Among many other things, he says he will be looking away from spending a chunk of the sports ministry budget on the Black Stars and focusing on the development of other, particularly lesser funded sports.
The Mama called me and said he was taking me to sports. he gave me 2 assignments. Go out there and do what is right, was 1. And 2, you know, I'm passionate about sports. I want you to go and help to make sure that we plan, because it was close to elections.
Yeah.
We plan very well what we will do after the elections to really develop sports. So all that I was doing around that time was to lay the foundation for a better sports ministry, a better governance of sports, and a better development of sports from 2017 beyond.
Okay.
And so you could see that I had to take a revolutionary stand on certain things.
Yeah.
Because those things were the things that were affecting our management of football especially, and the development of other sporting disciplines. There was a basic issue, and up to today, this particular government has not resolved that problem.
What's that basic issue?
You see, the basic issue is the fact that we give all our attention to football, to the neglect of the other sporting disciplines.
We give our attention to Black Stars.
Thank you. I'm happy you've even narrowed it down to Black Stars, because if we give a quarter of that attention we give to the Black Stars to the other national teams,
yeah,
they'll do better. So the issue is that how do we resolve this puzzle? To resolve that puzzle, you need to take difficult and very unpopular decisions,
yeah,
that will affect the interests of many people.
And in fact, you did.
I had to be brave. I had to be courageous to do it, because those were people who had influences. Those were people who could sit down and also plan your demise. You people had already referred them as mafias. But I was also seeing myself as a one-man soldier at the time. And because I had a fair knowledge and idea about the terrain,
yeah,
I knew what button to hit. I know which nail to hit to be able to stabilize myself within that short period and still achieve the objective. Because the major objective is that I was very confident President Mama will win the elections. So prepare the ground, lay the foundation so that when you come, it will be easier to build on. One of the main things to do is to cut down the budget and the expenditure on football, especially on the Black Stars.
And you did it to the extent that we had a game against Rwanda,
yeah,
and the boys had to buy their own flight tickets.
They decided to buy their own flight tickets.
Why didn't you buy the tickets for them?
Why should I buy the tickets for them?
They were coming to represent the country.
We needed money for other sporting disciplines. Muftahu, that was a time when we had already qualified.
I remember. You
for
mentioned
the World
that.
Cup.
Yes.
We had already qualified for the Cup of Nations.
In 2017.
Yes. And there was absolutely no need, because Rwanda, 99% of their players were local based. And we, at that time, considered our league to be better than the Rwandan league. So automatically, we will have better players in our league.
You wanted Evram Grant to use players from the Ghana Premier League?
I asked him, and he said yes. He said the players were there. If Joshua Tukofi had used players from our local league to play the almighty Nigeria at the time when Nigeria had then come from the World Cup with a very wonderful performance, what prevents Evram Grant
but many
from losing
people,
players from?
There were many people in the media who kind of disagreed with your approach.
Yeah.
Where they thought that maybe you could have had maybe a conversation with the FA and the technical team.
I did.
But
I called them to a meeting in my office. Then
why did the FA take the posture as though they knew nothing about it?
You see, the issue is that the FA had seen my administration as anti-FA at that time. They thought that I've come to, disturb the terrain and to make sure
I don't want to go to the other aspect of some of the stories they were writing about you on some websites.
You see, And you should know one thing about me at that time was that I was really handicapped when it comes to resources at that time.
Oh, really?
Yes. The budget of the Ministry of Youth and Sports could not even support the activities of the Black Stars throughout the year, let alone the Black Meteors, the Black Satellites, the Black Starlets, the Black Queens, the Black Princess, the Black Maidens, before even considering volleyball, hockey, and other sporting disciplines. The total budget for the ministry was enough for only 2 Black Star matches at that time. So I was seriously constrained. And as a good manager, you have so many children, you have so many interests, this is all that you have. So if this is all that you have at the time, how do we make sure that none of your children will go hungry and become malnourished? You understand? How do you make sure that all your children will benefit from the little resources you have? So that if it is a bowl of cocoa, how do you make sure that every one of your children will at least have a spoonful?
A spoonful.
That was the problem I got myself confronted with. And the GFA were not in any compromising position to let go $1 of what was coming to them.
Did they not tell you that that Rwanda game could have been used as a preparatory match for the AFCON because they had already qualified?
They did. And I told them we had parity at that time. If we spent money to make you qualify already, to the detriment of disabled sports, and that was my problem. At that time, our disabled sports were supposed to engage in an Paralympic qualifying.
Yeah, to Angola. Yeah,
to Angola.
Yeah,
Paralympic qualifying.
Yeah.
Mufta, let me ask you, if you were in my shoes at that time, which one would have been your priority? You see, so I look at it, I said, look, these are our disabled people. They have opportunity to qualify for the Paralympic Games. And we have our able people who had already qualified for their next tournament. And you want me to spend close to $500,000 on them, to the detriment of those who, even though in their disability, are sacrificing for the nation. It's against my conscience. I wouldn't do it.
Well, so that's Nii Lante Vanderpuye reflecting on his time as sports minister and the reason why he chose to prioritize some less funded sports disciplines. Well, it does appear it might be his focus when he is returned to the position as sports minister. Well, in the coming weeks, we'll get to know if he will get the nod to be the Minister for Youth and Sports. Well, that's all we have for you on Prime Sports tonight with me, Razak Musbao. We're going to be back on Monday, and we're doing more on the government's, incoming government's plans for sports and what people are expecting from them. Thank you very much for your